Published under the DC Elseworld's imprint, which encompasses storylines that take place outside the general DC Comics continuity, 1996's Kingdom Come, written by Mark Waid and Alex Ross, is one of the greatest DC storylines of all time. We begin our story with a passage from the Revelation of St. John. It tells of voices, thunderings and lightnings, earthquakes, hail and fire mingled with blood, a great star burning as it falls from heaven, and an angel saying with a loud voice, "Woe, woe, woe to the inhabitants of the earth." An elderly pastor named Norman McKay is at the bedside of a dying Wesley Dodds, reading to him from the Bible. Wesley soon passes away, and the funeral is small and brief. McKay reveals that Wesley was in fact the superhero known as the Sandman in his youth, a founding member of the Justice Society of America. McKay narrates this story set within an alternate future. He explains that the world is a mess, and that Wesley would speak to him about human achievement and glory, that the new generation seems to not appreciate the old. Wesley would mock the newcomers, and spoke of legends long gone, champions that inspired human achievement and not belittled it. He wanted them to be remembered and to somehow live again. Despite Wesley dying without much hope for the future, Pastor McKay tries to maintain his faith. There are heroes in this future, thousands of mighty beings who were inspired by those that came before. They lack the same morals, though. They fight for the sake of fighting, both each other as well as the villains of yesteryear, which have basically been eradicated at this point. They possess superhuman abilities and are essentially the protectors of Earth, but they are unmatched, unrestrained. They are anti-heroes that do whatever they please, and humans are powerless to interfere. After delivering a subpar sermon, McKay sits, realizing he is unable to fully encourage anyone who steps through those doors. However, the Spectre appears before him, almost as if he is a form of Christ or angel. McKay believes he has gone insane, but the Spectre tells him he has not, and that he has come for his assistance. He must tether himself to a human soul that seeks justice. It would have been Wesley, but he is no longer living. The visions and precognitive powers Wesley had experienced have been passed on to McKay, hence why he must be the one. The Spectre tells him Armageddon is coming, and that the heroes of the past may have been able to prevent this destruction. The current ones now are the problem. He takes McKay to Kansas, where we see an older Clark Kent in self-imposed exile, having not been Superman for 10 years. Wonder Woman arrives and tells him the Earth needs him. One of these mighty heroes is out of control, one Superman has history with. Clark goes to a secret room where he can oversee all of Earth and reveals to us all the name of this threat, Magog. Magog leads the team known as the Justice Battalion, who are relentless, ignoring all pleas of mercy and surrender from those they face. They chase down and brutalize the Parasite in nearby Kansas, and as the villain splits Captain Atom wide open, the news footage cuts out. Millions die from the radioactive fallout of Captain Atom's powers, and with the loss of America's main source of food, they face famine. Magog and another member of his team, named Alloy, are the only survivors. Diana tells Clark that it's all up to him. If he gives the word, the rest of his generation will take action. He refuses and tells her to go home. McKay and the Spectre watch on, and it's revealed that after Superman gave up his pursuit of truth and justice, the rest of the heroes followed suit and retired. Only a select few continue their fight, in secret of course. The Flash has become a guardian angel of Keystone City, moving too fast to ever really be seen. Hawkman defends the Pacific Northwest as an environmental savior, or terrorist, depending on who you ask. Green Lantern sits alone within an Emerald City in Earth's orbit, awaiting the threat of extraterrestrials. Aquaman and Wonder Woman have focused on their own civilizations, preferring to not toil with the outside world. And Batman, what about him? Well, he uses an army of younger trustworthy agents to patrol the streets of Gotham and instill fear into the hearts of criminals. He's got Gotham under control. As the new generation of heroes undo everything the old ones stood for, Norman McKay demands that the Spectre deliver some form of hope to him. He needs it, the entire world needs it, and then, with unmatched blurring speed, the weapons of these so-called heroes are destroyed. The tide of this mighty river begins to change. The people of Earth look up into the sky and rejoice. Their savior has returned, the Man of Steel, the Superman. A civil war between two anti-hero factions begins at the Statue of Liberty, but thankfully, Superman and the rest of our beloved heroes arrive to teach these young punks what it truly means to be one. The return of Superman motivated the rest of them, and they have all come out of hiding, sweeping these wannabes up with ease. Superman and the rest of the heroes arrive at the United Nations building and make a statement. In our absence, a new breed of metahumans has arisen, a vast phalanx of self-styled heroes, unwilling to preserve life or defend the defenseless. A legion of vigilantes who have reverted their great powers, who have forsworn the responsibilities due to them. We have returned to teach them the meaning of truth and justice. Together, we can guide this new breed with wisdom and, if necessary, with force. Above all, we will restore order. We will make this right again. Superman goes to the rubble of Wayne Manor, destroyed by Two-Face and Bane, and gains entry into the Batcave. He confronts Bruce, who has been watching over his agents from the Batcomputer. Superman wants Batman to rejoin the League, but he refuses, saying he's too busy. Bruce tells him that this metahuman problem has been one for years. The entire world believed their style of heroics was too old-fashioned and gentle, and wanted ones that had a bit more ruthlessness to them. He wants to remain in the Batcave because Gotham has become one of the few utopias left on Earth, all because of his efforts. Despite Superman claiming Batman has made the citizens themselves cowardly and superstitious on top of the criminals, Gotham has become a police state, essentially, Bruce still refuses. He resents Superman because he gave up on the world 10 years ago. He also doesn't want to be forced to reform to Superman's new regime. In his eyes, strategy is what is needed to solve the problem, not force. Superman and the rest of the Justice League extinguish their enemies one after the other, obtaining peace wherever possible. If not, they enforce their ideologies with brute strength, in some instances, gaining more members of the League as a result. In response to the newly reformed Justice League and its ever-growing power, Batman calls in a team of his own, called the Outsiders, made up of second- and third-generation heroes. Among them are veterans, such as Green Arrow, which act as lieutenants. Once again, Batman feels that Superman is going about this the wrong way. Force isn't the answer. Superman's idealism is outdated and will create more issues than anything. The League have become a military-like force with their enemies, as well as the citizens of Earth, being forced to surrender to them. Some members, like Wonder Woman, have become so absorbed in the fighting that they may be losing a bit of focus, becoming too violent and aggressive for their own good. We cut to Lex Luthor, who has created the Mankind Liberation Front, a secretive group consisting of villains such as Vandal Savage, Catwoman, the Riddler, and Damian Wayne. The MLF's objective is to heighten the tension between the human and metahuman communities, forcing the former to reclaim the Earth from their godly oppressors. When asked about Superman, Luthor reveals his contingency plan in Captain Marvel, Shazam. Superman stops a metahuman party and explains to all the naive youth in attendance that they join the League willingly, use their powers responsibly, and stay in line. Failure to agree with any of those orders will have lasting consequences, and any who oppose them will be swiftly dealt with. After Superman leaves, the group is then confronted by Green Arrow, who has a different suggestion. Superman and his forces have cleansed America for the most part, but the Man of Steel finds far less success on a global scale. Varying countries, governments, and ways of life are interfering with his goal. His Boy Scout mentality doesn't work everywhere and, in many ways, never can. The Justice League locate Magog, who had remained in Kansas after his attack, right under their noses the whole time. I guess the heroes were too busy beating up everyone else to notice. He wants Superman to attack him, to lock him away. It doesn't matter. He blames the Man of Steel for everything that has happened, because he went away. Magog reveals that years ago, the Joker had attacked the Daily Planet and killed Lois Lane, along with over 90 other victims. Magog and his followers murdered the clown in retaliation before Superman could get to him, and despite being taken to court, he was acquitted, deemed a hero by the masses. Being viewed as the new savior of Metropolis, Magog wanted to fight Superman so the torch could be passed to him, winning by default when the Man of Steel fled with his cape between his legs. He believed Superman was afraid of him all these years, but now he knows what he's really afraid of, what Magog represents. He's the face of tomorrow. Superman doesn't like that. Magog tells Superman to look around, and the Man of Steel tells him that he must be proud of all this death. But surprisingly, Magog reveals the opposite. Society chose him, someone who is willing to kill, over someone who wouldn't. He has to live with all the lives he's taken, the ghosts he's created. He wants to be punished, killed, captured, anything. On the Kansas site, Superman and his Justice Leaguers begin building a super prison known as the Gulag to capture those that refuse to conform. As this happens, Batman and his allies join forces with Lex Luthor and the MLF, feeling neither can accomplish what they seek on their own. Together, they will stop the Justice League. Within only 2 weeks of the prison's construction, it is filled to capacity, housing the strongest and deadliest of the metahumans, all in one convenient location. Lex Luthor has brainwashed Captain Marvel with the help of the now-deceased Thaddeus Savannah, using Venetian worms, similar to Mr. Mind, to get the job done. Lex then confronts Bruce Wayne, and the two overlook the production of their mechanical army. Bruce threatens Luthor, however, and reinforces that their intention is world order, not world domination. Despite the initial pushback, Superman and his Justice League forces have managed to take control of several nations around the globe. Australia, Germany, Italy, and more are on the way. Up until this point, we as the reader are witnessing all the events of this story unfold through the eyes of Norman McKay, who has been accompanied by the Spectre. They are both being led through these locations by McKay's visions of precognition. While overlooking the Justice League and snug in his spiritual form, McKay fails to see the Flash, a being who can move through dimensions and is pulled into reality by him. McKay finds himself in front of the heroes, who demand that he explain himself. He tries to tell them who he is, and warns Superman of the Armageddon that comes, but he denies it. That is until Robin tells him that a riot has been started at the Gulag prison, forcing the League to take action. The Spectre reconnects with McKay, who wishes to continue observing the heroes, at least for now. They watch as Superman and Wonder Woman address the United Nations. The human race has felt ignored by the so-called heroes, and feels that they have taken the law into their own hands, that the prison that they have created is a threat to the United States. Though Superman and his followers want to teach those within it to fight for the common good, the fact that it has become a pressure cooker in the center of the nation is just too much to think about. Lex Luthor is notified of the prison riot and prepares to strike with his secret weapon. As he orders the brainwashed Captain Marvel to attack, Bruce Wayne enters and knocks the world's mightiest mortal to the floor with ease. With the help of the Martian Manhunter, Wayne learned that as Billy Batson grew into manhood, his dual identities conflicted with one another, especially with Luthor turning him into a schizophrenic. Wayne had been using Luthor all along to learn of his connection to Captain Marvel, the biggest wildcard in all this conflict. His team of heroes then make their move. Bruce runs after Billy to comfort him, explaining that Captain Marvel had retired just like they all did, and had hidden himself inside a scared little boy. Luthor had tricked him into believing superheroes were terrible monsters all these years, that they were the problem in the world. Billy runs into a glass container housing more of the mind-controlling worms, and they fall on him, scaring him and forcing him to say the word Shazam. He transforms into the godlike hero, but manages to escape, still under the influence of Lex Luthor. As Superman and Wonder Woman begin to argue on their varying solutions to the prison riot, they are interrupted by communications, telling them the riot has gotten worse and Captain Comet has been killed. With an ally dead, Superman is at a loss for words. Wonder Woman, however, is willing to start a war and kill if necessary. She kisses him one final time and departs with the League. In desperation, Superman rockets to Earth and confronts the last person and only person he needs at this point, Bruce Wayne. He asks for Batman's assistance, but Bruce tells him that he warned him. He knew all this would happen. War was inevitable, that the superhumans would essentially cannibalize themselves, doing it Superman's way. Regardless, Clark asks for Bruce's help. He doesn't want to see anyone else die, and that they can be the world's finest team once again. But Bruce tells him the only chance may be Captain Marvel, who is heading to the prison right now to blow it open. Superman departs, hoping to stop an all-out war. As the end draws near, Superman flies faster than a speeding bullet to save the world, but is stopped by a bolt of lightning. Armageddon has arrived. Ragnarok. Its form, Captain Marvel. The Justice League do battle with all the supervillains they had imprisoned in the Gulag, while Superman and Captain Marvel battle like two opposing gods. The Man of Steel attempts to break his opponent free of Luthor's brainwashing, but the world's mightiest mortal has none of it. Thankfully, Batman and his allies arrive to sway the fight in favor of Superman and save as many lives as humanly possible. Casualties still happen though, Wonder Woman being the perpetrator of many. Captain Marvel says the word Shazam and uses several lightning bolts against the Man of Steel. As Batman and Wonder Woman fight in the skies, they notice aircrafts in the distance sent by the United Nations to nuke the entire area. They attempt to stop them before that can happen. Wonder Woman realizes her mistakes as reality sets in. Superman manages to stop Shazam and use the lightning strikes to turn him back into Billy. As one stray bomb released falls, the Spectre declares to Norman McKay that the end has come. The bell is tolled for those responsible, and he must punish them. The humans or the metahumans. Norman must decide. As McKay watches, unable to make a choice, Superman has come to the same thought process. He is indecisive of what he should do. Stop the bomb, or let the heroes destroy the Earth. Norman isn't a god, and Superman isn't a man. They need someone who is both. With a tear in his eye, Billy breaks free of Luthor's clutches and has come to a decision. Superman flies up to stop the bomb, but Captain Marvel takes his place. Shazam reaches it as the heroes look on, and screams the name of the wizard over and over again to break through, detonating the device prematurely before it can reach the Earth's surface. Despite Captain Marvel's sacrifice, most of the metahumans are still killed in the explosion, with Superman left amongst the debris and steaming carcasses of his allies and enemies. Enraged, Superman smashes his way into the United Nations building with the intention of killing all those responsible. Before that can happen though, Norman McKay asks the Spectre to allow him to speak with him. McKay tells the Man of Steel that among all his gifts, the most important was always his knowledge of right and wrong, a gift of his humanity. The moment he made the super more important than the man is when he turned his back on humanity. He can still fix this and make it all right. However, unbeknownst to Superman, there were survivors to the blast, being saved by some of the shielding powers of the metahumans, particularly Green Lantern and the like. Superman tells the UN that all this mess started 10 years ago when he left humanity. Humans saw their heroes as gods, and so did the heroes themselves, letting it get to their head. As the heroes unmask, they promise to earn humanity's trust moving forward and work with them as opposed to solving everything by themselves. Captain Marvel gave his life to save life. That was the only decision that mattered. As the world slowly heals, Norman McKay asks the Spectre why he was chosen as his anchor to mankind. Wasn't the Spectre once human? What would Jim Corrigan's perspective be? As the Spectre removes his hood, he departs, telling McKay he is a symbol of hope himself, much like the heroes he witnessed. McKay resumes his role as minister and has a new outlook on life, his faith being restored. He tells all those in attendance that dreams are not always prophecy and that hope is brightest when it dawns from fear. In the epilogue, Clark, Diana, and Bruce have a meal in the superhero-themed restaurant from the beginning, which has embraced its Golden Age heroes respectively this time, and catch up 1 year after all the Gulag chaos. Clark and Diana reveal they are pregnant, though Bruce suspected it already, being the detective that he is, and they want him to be the godfather, a moral human anchor for their child in a world of gods. As they leave, they ponder the future and the good the child will do for the world, the next generation of hero. So that's DC's Kingdom Come, regarded as one of the best storylines to be released from the publisher. There is a lot to this story, so many themes and ideas to analyze and unpack, but I will do my best to get to as much as I can, though naturally, I will miss a few things, it's inevitable. Kingdom Come is a faithful love letter to all things DC, specifically their golden age of comic books and superheroes. Kingdom Come is an effective dissection of some of the greatest superheroes in the medium, breaking them down to their very core and revealing their flaws and vulnerabilities as characters, before fixing and re-establishing what it means to be a hero and what these iconic characters truly represent in the end. It's a story of generations, an old one coming to terms with the new, and a new one coming to terms with the old. They each learn from the strengths and weaknesses of the other. Kingdom Come takes place in a possible future, when the heroes of yesteryear must tame a new breed, and save the planet from their very saviors the humans thought were on their side. But, much like all power, it can become corrupt and self-absorbed. In many ways, these older heroes become what they fought against, and all the superhuman individuals lose focus of what was really important. They weren't really protecting Earth anymore, they were using it as a battlefield. Kingdom Come makes it perfectly clear that all the generations must work together to achieve the greater good. One is not superior to the other necessarily. They all have pros and cons, and must keep that in mind in order to progress forward. Kingdom Come oozes religious concepts, not only in its beautiful artwork by Alex Ross, his hyper-realistic paintings are phenomenal, awe-inspiring, and he's one of the best artists in the medium, they look real, like a movie, but the narrative also draws from many phrases and ideas found within religion and mythology. God stepping down from Olympus, the end of the world referred to as Armageddon or Ragnarok, the heroes not being angels but gods themselves, the walls of Jericho tumbling down, that sort of thing. Even the intro to the comic featured all those quotations from the Revelation of St. John. Kingdom Come emphasizes the parallels between gods, religion, and mythology to that of superheroes. They are one and the same. Superheroes are the modern-day forms of mythology after all. Having these elements and themes present in the story makes sense because the writers, Mark Waid and Alex Ross, wanted to show the world what these characters they are so passionate about mean to them, what they embody in their purest forms. They see the likes of Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman as icons, as legends, as gods. I assume Mark Waid is religious, or at the very least, finds the idea of it, as well as mythology, fascinating in order to write a story like this alongside Ross that references them so heavily. You'd have to be in some way. Ross himself grew up with a minister as a father, so religion was most likely a strong element of his childhood, something he can relate to in many ways, and you can see that bleed into his artwork. His father, Clark Norman Ross, posed for the character of Norman McKay. Kingdom Come is one of my favorite DC storylines. It's up there with The Dark Knight Returns, Blackest Night, The Long Halloween, and a slew of many others. I would go so far as saying it's one of the best to look at if you're new to these kinds of characters, especially the DC ones, because like I said, this story is great at dissecting each one, so you get a firm understanding behind each of their ideologies, flaws, and in the end, strengths as heroes. You're not going to get every detail in your first read-through, that comes with time, but every generation of DC fan will get something out of this story. It has a lot of Easter eggs throughout, and is a wonderful passion project, a well-crafted love letter to fans, new and old. This has been NerdGasm. Have you read Kingdom Come? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments section down below. As always, I want to thank you very much for watching, and if you'd like to support everything it is that I do, subscribe to the channel and share the video. It'd be much appreciated. I will see you in the next one. Take care.